video we're going to talk about briefly about the physiology of tattoos, how they're made and the recovery period, what can go wrong. And this is quite important because understanding the physiology of tattoos will help us understand what needs to be done in order to remove them. So what we will understand in this video is where inside the skin the tattoos are located, and therefore and also what can go wrong when you have a tattoo done, and the aftercare of after having a tattoo done, and what can go wrong as well. And once again, the most important thing we're going to take away from it is the physiology of the tattoos. So we'll try to have an understanding of how they're drawn and where we find the pigments inside the tattoos at that skin level. So by understanding that, then we will be able to understand what is required in order to remove them. So this is quite an important topic for you to understand, so you understand the why of certain things. So we're going to jump directly onto this topic by looking at the relevant web page on our website, the voltaicplasma.com, and you'll find this under tattoos. So you click there and you'll find this page immediately. So what we're going to talk about immediately is where the tattoos are located inside the skin. I'm trying to magnify this picture, see whether I can do it. And yes, that's it. We've got the picture magnified. And what you can see from this picture is that the pigments are located inside the dermis, are not located onto the epidermis. And when the needle, the tattooing needle is drawing the tattoo, this is what exactly happens, is inserted inside the skin into the dermis, and the ink is deposited inside the dermis. And this is a quite important picture, because on the left we can see the fresh tattoo just being drawn, and on the right we see the same tattoo when it's been healed. So the healing time occurs over a number of weeks. So as you can see, on the left is very bright, and on the right is not as bright. And this is very, very normal, because at the beginning what you have a fresh tattoo, and the ink is all deposited on the epidermis as well as on the dermis, so you see a very, very fresh picture. Whereas after it's healed, then what you see is the tattoo through the epidermal layer. So you have a sort of screen between the actual tattoo and this. Well, what you can see is has a screen, which is, and the screen being the epidermis, and the epidermis is transparent, and this is why, and also opaque, to not completely transparent and also opaque. This is why when it's healed, it's not as bright as it is immediately after you have a tattoo done. And we'll have a look. In fact, this is what happens throughout the healing period. So when you have a tattoo done, on the left you can see that the fresh tattoo, the pigments are on the epidermis and inside the dermis. Then over time, throughout the healing process, see, for example, after a month, part of the pigments have gone from the epidermis, and they're almost all inside the dermis. And after 2 to 3 months, they're all inside the dermis. And this is because when we're making tattoos, the tattoos are meant to stay there for a lifetime. And if they're just deposited on the epidermis normally has a cycle, a very short cycle, so it keeps regenerating quite quickly, whereas the dermal layer doesn't. And this is why the tattoos are injected inside the dermal layer, so they stay there as permanently as possible, whereas if you just inject them onto the epidermal layer keeps flaking, and therefore after a while will disappear. So this is where the tattoos reside, inside the dermal layer, in order to keep the tattoos there for a lifetime. And this explains why after the tattoo is healed, then is a bit more opaque. We're going to carry on. This is the same tattoo after the area has healed. So the epidermal layer doesn't have anything, and everything is deposited inside the dermal layer. And this is again just another picture to show you the tattoo where it's located inside the skin. And again, this picture as well shows you a nail. Let's assume that the tattoo is a nail, which is inside the dermal layer, and you see it through that epidermal layer, which I've just mentioned earlier. And this is why is more opaque after it's healed. Another important point is, say for example, when we remove tattoos using plasma, and we remove the epidermal layer, that tattoo looks very fresh and bright, much brighter than it was before. This is because we take off the epidermal layer, and therefore what you see is just a fresh painting, so to speak. So if you're removing tattoos by using plasma devices, when you remove the epidermal layer, then you find exactly that all of a sudden the tattoo seems to be very bright and colorful. And this is normal because you've just taken off the opaque screen, which is the epidermal layer, and you see directly into the painting. So we're going to carry on. And this is a picture showing you a tattoo being infected. Whenever people go through have a tattoo done, they are given a standard healing procedure. So they have to take care of the tattoo in a certain way, otherwise an infection is going to occur, and this is what can happen, and it can make the tattoo look really, really ugly. So not only do you take care of the tattoo after the tattoo removal process, but you also need to, of course, you need to take care of it just after it's been drawn, because otherwise you can get infected, and infections can compromise the way the tattoo is going to look later on. And that is just this is another example of a tattoo not being looked after properly, and the consequences of an infection. And as you can see, the area at the borders are quite red, so the infection is still ongoing in this picture. So this is another picture showing the onset of an infection. And also here we talk about the symptoms of infections there, so you can go in detail whenever you have time, and if you want to know more, just read through the text which we have made for you. And this is another picture showing you another infection, tattoo infection. So it's not just to scare people, just to show people that not only do you have to take care of the tattoos, because what happens is when you if you're specializing in removing tattoos, you sometimes you don't even know what happens before a tattoo has been done. In my case, say for example, I've never had a tattoo done, so I don't know unless I studied it. So we studied it, so we have this information in place. But anybody who has a tattoo done needs to take care of their tattoo and make sure they don't have any infection in order to have a very good good-looking tattoo when the area is healed. And that's another picture showing the crusting of a tattoo. This is what normally happens. And then this is a video which we find on YouTube, and it's very, very good because it shows you the tattoo healing process, and it's been made quite well. And it also shows you the stages and so on. This is just another picture of a tattoo in there, and this is another picture just to show you how invasive a tattoo procedure can be. This is on the left, you've got just a fresh tattoo 1 hour after, so you get the swelling that you normally get after you have a tattoo done, because you have injected something inside the dermal layer, so the skin has a certain reaction to that, and this is why you get a certain amount of swelling. And then 2 days after, the swelling is completely gone normally, unless an infection is starting to take place. However, then you get the scabbing. And this is a picture where we show you the scabbing process of a normal tattoo being taken care of as it should be, without any infection. And since having a tattoo done involves inflicting a wound inside the skin, a normal reaction is scabbing, and this is what this picture is showing you. Normal scabbing throughout the tattoo healing process. Now, this is just another picture showing you the same thing, the normal scabbing after a tattoo being made a few days after. This is the flaking, the peeling that you have to go through as well after tattooing. So depending on how the tattoo was made, you can have either scabbing or flaking. So, and this is this can be quite normal. Actually, I'm just reading here because we've written this page a year ago. That takes place usually after a while the tattoo has been drawn. And this is the another good video that we found on YouTube showing you the tattoo skin peeling process. So if you want to know more about that, you can watch it. You've got stage 3, and we talk about stage 3, which is the skin keeps regenerating, and the tattoo keeps changing slightly over the short, long-term period over a few weeks. And if you want to know, you can read in detail this section. And this is the standard way, which is suggested by most tattoo artists, to take care of the area immediately after you have the tattoo done. So you cover it in cling film, and then we go on and on. Side effects. You can read on, and these are the side effects that can happen other than the normal infections, because we inject ink inside the body, so sometimes you can have different side effects like allergic reactions, etc. So not like everything in life, when you inject a body, something external inside your body, depending on what you inject, and your body reaction can have a certain different effects. This is a picture of a tattoo being made and a cancerous growth starting, if I remember well, and that seems to be correct by the description of the picture. Yes, and viral bacteria infections. When you have a tattoo done, you have an open wound, so you have to take care of it really, really carefully. So you have to make sure the area, the wound that is recovering, is not in touch with any source of bacteria or viruses. This is why people suggest you don't go to swim and so on throughout that period. And so this is just another picture showing you a keloid on a tattoo. So you can have a tattoo made, and then because you inject something inside your skin, if you're susceptible to forming keloids, then some keloids can grow soon after you have your tattoo done. So you always inflict a wound when you have a tattoo done. So, and this is what can happen. There's also keloids. Allergic reactions. This is another one. It's just an example of allergic reaction. So, and we have other pictures showing us other allergic reactions and so on. Granulomas on a tattoo. Then I think this is another. I think this is a cancerous formation around a tattoo, and so on. No, so this is the end of this article, just to give you a summary of what this article talks about. So you can either read the whole article, or you can have this as a quick reference, so you can simply watch the video and have an idea of what is inside this article. So we hope you find this useful. If you want to know more about this particular article, there's a lot inside this webpage. If something is not clear, feel free to get in touch with us. As we say in all videos, we're very keen to hear from you, so should you have any question, please feel free to get in touch. And thanks very much again for watching.